Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are very excited to talk to you about something that will be probably the basis of every conversation that we're going to have with you. So we decided that a good place to start is just understanding a few concepts that we are probably going to repeat, and it doesn't necessarily going to mean the words that we are going to choose. What you are usually are used to those words meaning. And this is what we wanted to start. So today we wanted to talk to you about emotional intelligence. In the basis of emotional intelligence sits your thoughts. And I know that we all know what thoughts are, but I'm gonna blow your mind with letting you know that thoughts do not really exist. I know, you're probably flicking your eyes. What is this mad person or mad woman is talking about? But thoughts do not really exist. I will tell you why am I saying that. First, scientists cannot actually prove that thought exists. If you're going to open your brain right now, there is no actual existence or factual existence to what we call thoughts. But thoughts has a great power in how we create reality and how do we actually behave or show up in our day-to-day. I will give you a few examples that will enable you to connect what I mean. So if you're going to close your eyes right now, and I'm going to ask you, please think about your mother and father. Think about the house you grew up 10 years ago. Think about Christmas morning. How did it smell? What was there? How the Christmas tree was actually decorated? It will probably bring up an experience that do not exist anymore when you open your eyes. But yet there was a lot of sensation around your body that was created from that imagery. And that is the power of thought. You can create in your mind any kind of experience that actually control your body. If you're happy from that connection, if you're sad from that connection, if you're angry from that connection, and by the end of the day, that does not really have anything with what you currently experience right now. Lena, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so we've got to understand that we have, I don't know how many thoughts go, like thousands and thousands of thoughts that twirling through our minds, but it doesn't really mean that any of them are real. And what actually happens, like Sarit said, that thoughts are not real. All it is just the energy. Everything, in fact, we are all energy. And even science has proven we're like 99.99% energy. So what happens is then when we give our attention to our thoughts, we charge our thoughts, and that creates an emotion within us. And usually the thoughts that we give power to is it's based on our experiences that we had in the past. So like with this example of a Christmas morning, or any other childhood experiences you had, you will charge your thoughts with a certain energy that will either create that expansion in your body and you would feel such good memories about the Christmas in your family, or maybe you didn't have such a great Christmas, then you would contract your body. So you can see how just thinking about certain experience will generate a certain emotion. And this is what we need to understand about emotional intelligence, that actually emotions are byproducts of our thinking. So over to you, Sarit. I just wanted to add that little bit.
Great. And why is that important? Because we are talking about the world, and we're talking about business and business culture. And by the way, in business and business culture, we have more structure than in our personal life. So sometimes we are triggered by our emotion, but the culture of the environment give us a more standard to what you do and you can't do. But we still believe that emotional intelligence has a power within the work environment. And we are here to show you that when we are going to talk about thoughts and how it's create your life, just to give you a brief understanding of how it's connected actually to your corporate environment. So Lena, do you want to start?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, when it comes to our working career, we already know that sometimes our emotions can run wild. I mean, I've been, as I said in our introduction videos, I spent 15 years in my career in a corporate environment, working amongst people, and some people would just really like push my buttons that would make me feel sad or angry or whatever that is. Some of them made me feel good, but I would be at complete mercy of how other people perceived me. If I got compliments about my work or what I did, I would feel happy. If I didn't get praised, I would kind of feel ignored. Or if somebody for example, judged my work, or they pointed out a mistake, I would really feel unworthy. So it was like an emotional roller coaster, because I was taking everybody else's opinions and making them about me. So when we actually place it in a context then of organization, what it means, if, for example, you deal with people who you believe they don't value you, don't respect you, don't whatever agree with what you are doing, it can cause all sorts of emotions around you. And then what happens is people then go to HR, and HR gets involved in a conflict, and there is meetings, and it's just like, rinse, repeat pretty much all over again. So when we receive this knowledge or understanding that it is our thoughts that impact our emotion, and that's a completely internal dialogue, then we can start looking at all of this situation from a very different angle, from a different perspective. So, for example, if you are next to your colleague and they will tell you that, I don't know, your laptop is dirty, just for example, instead of taking it personally and getting angry or resentful about it, we can just take a breath and pause and it's not what that person said, but it's my thoughts about this person. So maybe, for example, if you grew up in a house where your parents always told you off for not cleaning your room and you were maybe punished, your reaction to that comment would be very, very different if, for example, you've never really had this kind of upbringing before, because you can either take this on board and say, oh, I've got a few crumbs, let me clean it up, or you'd completely blow up and then storm off in tears, right? So we've got to really start understanding that it's nothing to do with what somebody says to us, what they do to us, the external circumstances, but rather what we think about the circumstances, and understand it's a complete inner process.
So as you can see, we've got two kind of different angles. Lena is definitely taking the personal corporate perspective in this
My laptop
conversation.
is clean, by the way. Just so that you know.
No, but I want to, that's great. I want to take it to more high level. My background is being a manager, and I think my pleasure here is to show you a little bit how it works. So I want to share two perspectives on thoughts from a little bit higher perspective on organization and organization culture. From that perspective, less a personal opinion on how thoughts actually manage us as a person. So from a culture corporate perspective, the thoughts has two places. One, we do have a certain thoughts that create our perspective on who we are within the work job. So for example, if I hold a title of a salesperson or a marketing person, I've got series of thoughts that will define what a salesperson should do, how should he behave, an R&D person or a marketing person. And we're going to talk about it, but you understand that thoughts are not just something that is personal. You also hold big thoughts that will define how you see yourself and how you define yourself in your job, part of who you are within the culture of the organization, connected to the job that you are doing. Okay, you are a manager, you are a C-level, you are a V-level, whatever you want. You have got big thoughts that are defining the way you're going to do your job. That's one thing. And the second thing that thought hold a lot of perspective, and I think in this day and age in corporate, is something that we need to understand. Thoughts are also basis, as Lena said, are very private. And we became a global village. We're coming to work and we are seeing people from all cultures and almost all countries with multiple languages. We most likely will speak English. But for some of us, like for me, English is not my native language. I did not grow up speaking English. It became later on in my career. So thought also are connected to our communication. And since we became a global village, we need to understand that thoughts are also create how we will communicate ourselves within the organization. And because we are a global village, we sometimes need to remember, and we're going to say it a lot, that my experience growing up, I chose Christmas, for example, and I'm Jewish. I have nothing to do with Christmas, but any holiday that I would pick will be different, but I can connect to the Christmas experience or Christmas morning. But that's also something that we need to understand. Thoughts define ourselves, thoughts create our communication, and as Lena said, definitely has a place in how we show up on a personal level. Right, Elena? I forgot something?
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, thoughts really define how we feel, how we act, and how we behave. And that's why just even that awareness, I think, can really change the way we look at things around us.
Lena, awareness is a whole different video.
And we will jump into it, but we can, drip, whatever the expression is.
I'm just kidding. We made a bet between us that whenever we're going to say a word that is not necessarily something that what we mean and what the conventional term behind the word is going to be. So we're going to do a video about it. So when we're going to show up in conversation, you at least will know what we mean. You decide what it means for you, but at least you will know where we are aiming. So I think it's a good place to close the video, right, Lena?
Well, I actually want to, for those of you who are listening, I think you hopefully from this video beginning to understand that thoughts create our experiences, right? Because we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So if somebody is behaving in a way that you don't like, it's got nothing to do with you. It's just the way you interpret their behavior. So then how can we start changing our reactions to the people around us or to the situations, especially the situations we don't like that make us feel sad or rejected or upset? Well, as I said just now, just becoming aware, just recognizing that when this person says this thing to me, it upsets me. And be okay with it, And I know sometimes it can be really hard to be like, how can I be okay with being upset? But if you just sit with it for a minute, you may begin to kind of remember previous experiences when somebody, maybe even in your childhood, maybe your friend or your parent, made a similar remark or similar comments and how you reacted to it. So the first thing is really to help us to start managing our emotions is to recognize that it's not that person who's doing something, it's just bringing something within us that we have experienced, and usually it all has to do with our childhood. And I mean, there is many other steps, that we can share with you, but I think just if you just master that bit, taking that attention from the outside and bring it back to you, and just by being with it, by acknowledging it, I think that can help you to start kind of changing how you then respond back to the person or the situation.
So I promised we're going to have two opinions, and I wanted to close this video, but I will continue.
Okay, go for it.
I believe, actually, I told you that I see it as a magic. So when somebody, I have negative reaction to something that was said to me, or that was, I think, done to me, or was disrespectful, or whatever, or undermining my job, or whatever, which I believe now it's a thought, it's a concept. I think it's magic, and it's all about me. And what do I need to do is change my perception. We're going to talk about different circumstances and how we can provide you different options on how you consider that will change how you feel and how you see it. But that actually is the magic for me, Lena. The fact I know it's me. I know I'm the magician. This is a movie I'm seeing. I'm narrating all all the people that are showing up in my movie. Of course, I'm going to win an Oscar, and I'm the beautiful actor in my movies, but I'm the director. I can decide how I see it. And this is magic. So it's all about me. It's all about how I see it. Yes, I think that there is very challenging circumstances that it's going to be really difficult for me. As Lena said, I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to accept that. It's going to take me a lot of energy to change my perception. But the magic by the end of the day will sit with you, and how you see it, that will be able you to show up as a different thing. But only if you change your perception, your thoughts, and the mental energy, as Lena said, with the emotions that are connected to them.
Yeah,
That's
and you
the
touched on something really great there. You said it's my decision, right? And that's what we must remember. At any moment, we have a power to choose. We have the power to choose to react, or the power to breathe and just be with it. And let's see what comes up. Because when we take that step back, we start really dissociating or detaching ourselves from this experience. And that enables us to see things from a bigger picture, because we don't know how this person grew up. We don't know what they went through. We have no idea. We don't. And yet we make it so personal about us. So, yeah, I mean,
we're probably gonna hear us talk about it a lot, right?
definitely, because I believe it's such an important topic. And I mean, it's something I went through for many years. And I think this is how my spiritual practice evolved, because I wanted to choose different emotions. I didn't want to be slave to my emotions and to my thoughts. And, you know, as you know, it's a journey. It's been quite a long journey. It's still ongoing, but I'm becoming very much aware why certain things upset me, why they wind me up, and just kind of looking at it as much as I can, trying to look at it from a different perspective.
So for me, it's the other way around. I usually see the beauty in everything. I see it more actually since my spirituality, and I actually need to ground myself. So I'm going the opposite way.
Yeah, and there's no right and wrong, right? It's like we can share with you what I can share with you what worked for me. Sarit can share with you what worked for her. And then, you know, then everybody finds their own way. But at the end of the day, the message is the same. It is our thoughts about the experience that cause us to feel a certain way. It's never the experience itself. Because if somebody comes up to me and calls me a purple elephant, I would be like, well, that's ridiculous. But if they say something to me, you know, that, let's say, brought up the memories of a childhood, especially a painful memory, I would get that person is pushing my buttons. So what, once again, has got nothing to do with the person. It's what actually the thoughts and emotions that are coming up within me, not outside of me. It's all within me.
Right. So now it's a good place to close the video.
I think I'm done for now. I think it's been long enough for people to digest, absorb. And guys, as always, if this resonates, like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment. If you want us to talk about something that's close to your heart, you're working through, let us know. Bye for now.